And
oh no.
Yeah, I'm stressed for it. Hey, bam, we're live. Mike Halpin, Caleb Beaver. We are taking name recommendations for Caleb's child. And Mr. Brian Friend in the house today. Today we are going to discuss. Uh-oh, I heard that.
That was me.
Discuss the future, the present, the past, not in that order, of what it takes to get to the CrossFit Games in regards to worldwide rankings and strength of field numbers, and more specifically, I think, what can be done to fix the current situation so that Africans can attend. No, not that. I'm off a little bit.
We'll see what we can do.
Okay. Hi everyone. Everyone knows who these guys are.
While you were late, I put it to the audience to try to guess why you were late.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Any good guesses?
Well, and one person paid $5 to guess.
Oh, Sevan is late because he had to put his shopping cart away. Oh, you know what's crazy about the whole shopping cart thing? God, I have to I've just been eating my words now for day after day after day. So today I went to the supermarket, and as I'm coming out, you know that little sidewalk that runs in front of supermarkets, you know what I mean, where all the carts are, and they have like wood for sale and like tomato plants if they're in season, and then like a huge thing of watermelons, or you know what I'm talking about, that area. Mm-hmm. And there's a narrow spot there between like the carts.
Some countries of the world, that is the supermarket.
Right. Good, very good point. As I'm walking down there with my boys, I'm in between the shopping carts and like a pillar that holds the roof up of the shopping cart, and some lady who's probably 52, my age, but moves like she's 112, puts her cart horizontally and blocks the sidewalk and walks away. I'm like, son of a bitch. That serves me right. I'm the guy who's like professing not to put your carts away, and some lady, I mean, just clear as day, blocks my kids and I from walking down a sidewalk.
This was an unplanned, Sevan, but who was the person who donated that $5?
Nick, Wad Zombie, Nicholas, the guy who made this card right here of Ben Smith. That's for sale.
This is my 6th podcast with you this week.
Wow.
And the only way I've gotten through it is the Wad Zombie cards. I'm drawing power from them.
Oh, that's incredible. Because I drain you, or because the subjects are so taxing, or both?
It's a combination of things. I've tried CBD balm on my neck. I've done the mobility practices from WOD Proof prior to the show, and now I'm resorting to drawing power from the WOD Zombie playing cards.
Well, I like that. I will say this. I'm thoroughly enjoying this week. It's much easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought this morning show was like one of the best shows I've ever done. It was crazy. I was scared because with Caleb and Souza gone, but I've adapted. I know you hate to hear that.
I actually listened to it for about 10 minutes this morning.
Did you laugh at all? No, that means you didn't.
I don't know about that.
Did you? Yeah, have you been following the? We have a gentleman, a caller, who's dating a woke girl, and he's not woke, and she doesn't know he's not woke. Have you been following that?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing, right, Caleb?
It's incredible, honestly.
It's like we're 5 shows in of getting reports, and it is truly amazing.
I can't believe he's pulling it off.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's she gonna do when she finds out? It's like she's dating a frog, and she's gonna but it's
she's almost
to her,
too
it's a
deep
prince.
at this point.
Yeah. Well, he's too deep.
Sure.
So, are you guys excited about this? Do you think you have a real solution? Is this just like a fuck you to HQ? Is this like we're just hating on HQ, or hating on the games, or we're here in a positive way to be like offer some unrequested, unsolicited yet helpful, constructive advice?
I wouldn't necessarily say unsolicited. I mean, maybe it's not solicited by CrossFit headquarters. Although, and yeah, obviously people know what our opinions are about the current methods for these things, but I think in large part because of what we've said about it, the question is, well, what would you do? And in particular, I've been making this claim since before anything was announced anyway, that I really don't think that it's right to use prior data in a forward-seeking endeavor, because the athletes wouldn't know what they're doing and the decisions that they make would not be reflective of the decisions they could make now with what they know. And that's important to establish because the same thing is true for the system that we're applying our method to. The athletes would not have known about the system that we're going to talk about tonight in their pursuits and attempts in the Open and the quarterfinals this year. But this system is only reflective of performance during the 2 stages of the CrossFit Games season so far.
The one that you're proposing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Halpin's proposing. Did you guys come up with this together? What are its origins?
I have had many thoughts about a way to potentially do this, but on the back of many people kind of pressing me or asking me, well, what would you do? I just tried to come up with an idea, and I asked Mike to run a study, and I was pretty happy with how the initial study went. So I asked to continue it and through the quarterfinals, and we did, and we never ran another study. I think we were both pretty happy with where this landed, especially in light of what the current system is, because we're really not trying to change too much. We want to keep some, especially what we're doing here, we're trying to keep and did keep some elements of what CrossFit HQ is included this year, because I think there are components of it that are and can be helpful even in future iterations.
Just posted on the CrossFit Games site. This is, by the way, for whatever it's worth, this is how I know that whoever runs that account is a douche nozzle. Semifinal tests drop next week. What are you, fucking 15?
I mean, this has been announced for a long time that the semifinal workouts would be available 1 week before the semifinals.
When's the merch dropping? What
the hell? Give me 1 second.
Oh shit! Well, we have a break-in at the Brian Friend compound. One time we were doing a show with Brian, and the fire alarm went off, which is different than when Yevgeny heard the air sirens. Hey, Brian, did someone breach the compound?
No, my TV just turned on.
Oh,
I don't know why it turned on. We just started playing something.
Said, hey, Alexa.
Chris Beesterfield, we got a hog shot. Fair enough. Olivia, anyone else seen a black screen? Nope, wrong show. We don't do blackface or black screen on this show. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm excited to hear about it. Is it something is it a complete revamp, or is it just some tweaks and twacks?
So there are a couple key things to understand on the onset. One is that we wanted, CrossFit has communicated that the intent of this in the long run is to have a more accurate representation of the competitive landscape year to year. So that if in the case that there is a year where there's a particularly strong group of athletes concentrated in one region, that they can benefit from that in terms of game spots allocated. And we want to see that too. I've been advocating for that for a long time, as many people have. But what we see right now is that, and we've gone over this a lot, is that that's not really happening. Because of how the system is set up, it's pretty difficult to have an impact on the scoring system within the year that's actually being tested. So our system eliminates everything from the past and only looks at competitive performance in the Open and the quarterfinals of this season.
Okay, I can't wait to hear about it. This could be. Remember when Tyler Watkins came on here and tried to talk to me about scoring that, and then I don't think he ever was allowed on the show ever again. I am a little concerned for Halpin, but we'll see what happens. What do you want to talk about, Sapphire Godard? Before we,
just briefly.
Everyone loves. Wow, her hair is god damn.
Hmm.
Who doesn't love a redhead? This is incredible. Go on.
Well, just obviously condolences out to her. She's got she says a ruptured ACL out for the season, and it's going to have an impact on her team. Her team was the third ranking team in Europe coming out of the quarterfinals, and I think 3, if not all 4 of them, are good enough to make, or did even make, the individual quarterfinals on their own merit, or at least did last year too. So anyway, they weren't on my rankings the other day because I had kind of heard about this. It wasn't announced at that time, so we didn't bring it up on the show. But it was a tough day because two of the top teams from the UK both took big blows. Zach's team obviously not competing at all, and Sapphire, they do have an alternate listed. I think they're going to continue to compete with her, but it'll be a big blow losing someone as good as she is.
I would like to leave Sorry, Caleb. I had to big dick you. I'd like to leave with this picture of our dear friend Sapphire.
Great picture.
Yeah, what an amazing photo. Okay, fantastic. Okay, good luck, Sapphire. Sorry
That was
about
a
the
great event too. A lot of handstand push-ups and then a lot of sandbag cleans.
What about a replacement for her? What about Christine Holta?
Well, it has to be the athlete that's listed as your alternate. And like I said, they do have an athlete listed as the alternate, so they can continue. But that athlete does not have the same experience and credentials as Sapphire, which is okay. I mean, she can get an opportunity to compete. I think they're still going to compete. So, but it's just
we have a comment from Jeremy E. World. She's sneaky hot. From Marco, we have a question. Is she single? Brian, is she single?
I think her boyfriend's actually on the team.
We have a comment of just observation, a scientific observation. Super tight body, like me. Super tight body, me likey. Oh, okay. Shorthand. And then Allison NYC also. I love when the quads look like that. I'm not sure what she's talking about, but I like it when they look like that too. So, all right. Going back to the developments on the other side that Brian mentioned of the other team that will not be going, well, that lost a player. We had this post, and I've read it twice now. Maybe I should have read it 3 times. But what I think it's Will Kane talking about not going to the semifinals because he's a little ambiguous, but I think he's saying sending out some love to Zach George in this, right? He's basically saying, hey, I'm reading into it wrong. I mean, you have to read into it. Isn't he saying, hey, buddy, I'm sorry that this happened, but no hard feelings?
I think he's a little bit more even keel than his teammate was the other day. But I think
Will Kane says, go ahead, Halpin.
I was just going to say, I think he was a little bit more nice than Janie was, but
aren't the photos saying that I'm your friend, I got your back? Like he's hugging him here like, hey, you do you, buddy. I got you.
Yeah. I think he speaks up well for his teammates here and says how disappointing it is, but still is as nice as he can be.
And he doesn't link to Mr. George either. Anyway, I thought it was.
I think. Do you know that Molly the Meatball, the MMA fighter?
Yeah.
She was in his comments saying something about it. So.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Holy cow, Halpin. Oh, Meatball Molly. I can't imagine what y'all are going through. Nicely out there, lad. There are most definitely ways to go about things. Sending love. Wow.
I mean, this is a real, I think that there's definitely an understanding of the decision that Zach made from a personal perspective. It makes a lot of sense, as you've talked about. But there are ways that are more well received to go about it than not. And it seems to be that at the end of the day, most people are not that impressed with the way he handled it in terms of communicating with his team. Not necessarily, I can't believe you took such a cool opportunity to make so much money for your family.
Fair enough. Zach, I got you back. Oh, go ahead, Halpin.
I was just going to say, comparing the two situations there, you can see there is a concern on teams that don't set up actual alternates. So, like Brian and I have been digging through a lot of these teams over the last few weeks. You can see teams where they have no alternate, and if something happens, good or bad for the athlete, in the 2 cases here, you can see in some cases they had an alternate, they can still keep moving. It's a blow to the team, but they still can compete. If they don't have any alternates or there's no one else at that affiliate listed, then they're just dead in the water, unfortunately. So I think that may be something that factors in the future, is making sure that you have somebody there that's maybe going to try for individual, but still is listed as an alternate for the team.
Fair enough. Wise advice. One final time back to Sapphire. Olivia comments, she ain't sneaky hot. She's in your face hot. I agree. And I would also like to propose there's a desire to make superheroes, all these different ethnicities, nationalities, races, skin colors. I would like to propose more redheaded superheroes. Maybe Sapphire could play a Wonder Woman. She could. And then Olivia closing the shallow and superficial talk about people's looks. I say Brian is sneaky hot, and that will be our final comment in this shallow field of judging people by their aesthetic. Anthony TPA, $5. If a team with an elite indie as the alternate and the person fails to make the games as an indie competitor, can the team use that person if they want?
Yep.
I mean, why would the person do that if they're an indie competitor, right?
They can only do one or the other.
Yeah, that's just saying if you and I were the competitors and they were on the team at semifinals and Halpin's our alternate and he's competing as an individual and misses the games.
Oh, okay.
And then you're like, I don't want to go to the games, or Halpin's better than me anyway. Or, he could fill in.
Okay.
Because he was listed as the alternate.
Barry McCockiner, no, I am not going to read this. Go to your room. Okay.
Just on that, Tia is an alternate for Proven as well as Saxon Panchik for Proven. Or at least they were during the Open. So
okay.
It's possible.
Did you see the picture of Dave and Adrian together in Nashville yesterday?
I did.
Muy interesante. Okay.
Is it? We would expect that they'd be doing something together after what happened this week. So
I do. It's just interesting. I wonder if Dave went out there specifically to see him.
It seems.
Oh shit! Yes. 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 Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the world is about. The bad things. Do you know why bad things happen? So that good things can happen. Listen, those of you who are married are going to understand this conversation very clearly. My wife lost her phone earlier today. That's why I was 4 minutes late to the show. I was on the phone with Brian doing a little prep.
Hello, you've reached Haley.
Fuck that. Anyway, she found her phone. Guess where it was?
In her pocket.
In the fucking car. But it's good news. It's good news. I'm cool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brian Friend, Michael Halpin with what we call the solution.
A solution.
Not the final solution.
Okay, I'm just chilling, gonna drink coffee the rest of this episode. I'm so happy.
All right. So if you do want to follow along, the full article is on Be Friendly Fitness, and we're just going to kind of walk through it.
When was the article published, Brian?
I think last night.
Did you tell me it was published?
No.
God damn it! How the fuck am I supposed to prepare for these shows if you don't tell me? Be Friendly. You're trying to sabotage my show because you work with the other guys now.
I'm even wearing their shirt tonight.
I know you're a good dude. I love you. Okay.
This actually is a great shirt. This is their tour shirt from the season that never was.
Oh, really? Talking Elite Fitness made like a tour shirt the year that
on the back there's like 25,
grounded?
28, however many sanctionals there were, and only like 12 of them happened. And then there's just 16 listed that never happened, it's actually kind of sad, but it's a cool shirt.
Okay.
Throwback.
Hey, have him send me one.
There's some stuff that we're going to do on the show tonight, Sevan, that I didn't want you to get distracted by. So
okay.
Yes, you're coming in a little blind on purpose.
Okay, great.
Should be fun for some people.
Okay.
So anyway, my idea was basically that each stage of the season should be a vetting or a screening for the next stage of the season. So that there should be things that are tested in the Open that are specifically meant to eliminate people who can't do things that are showing up in the quarterfinals. Same thing with the quarterfinals into the semifinals to the games. So there should be a progression to the season. So if we just looked at this year's Open and we see that there are a decent density of ring muscle-ups at the end of a workout, and we're talking about for an open field, a decent density of muscle-ups, you would expect that a ring muscle-up is going to be a prerequisite for something that's coming down the road. And that if you can't do any of those, you probably shouldn't be advancing to the next stage of the competition. Same thing with the strict handstand push-up. Same thing with the thruster. Okay, why are we testing a 1-rep max thruster? Are we doing it just to do it? Or is it a precursor for something that's coming next, like 15 clean and jerks at 275 pounds? Or a workout that opens with 9 front squats from the floor at 225. And I know, especially in the women's field, that there are people, and we've talked about this, that had no ring muscle-ups, no strict handstand push-ups, and a thruster weight that was pretty low, that were still able to make it through. So I felt like it was, given the difficulty of some of the quarterfinals tests, the filtering process wasn't necessarily up to par. So I just ran this study. I said, Mike, what if we evaluated the people who participated in the Open, not the ones that signed up, but the ones who participated? And we said, in order to advance from the Open to the quarterfinals, you have to be in the top 15% of all of the scored tests independently. And only that group of athletes would be able to advance. And then I let him do his thing.
Let me contextualize that for a second. How many? What is the situation now? It's the top what
10%.
percent?
10%.
And it's the top 10% now
of registrants, not participants. And we are choosing to only look at participants because we're trying to evaluate the competitive performance against the competitive field.
Okay, so theirs is a top 10% of all the registrants, and not based on individual performances, but based on their final placement.
Right.
Yes.
And theirs is by region. Ours is by world.
Okay. And why? What made you think that this was a valuable distinction? I understand the participant and registration piece, but why individual events? So that someone maybe who did great in 4 of the workouts but couldn't do ring muscle ups and the other doesn't move ahead, like you were explaining in the beginning.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we've seen this basically play out at further stages in the competition, right? The 2014 is probably the best example of this. Sam Briggs was the defending champion. She was amazing at just about everything. There was one thing she couldn't do, and she was not able to advance in the season. And I think that this model is basically accounting for that, because it also puts some responsibility on the programmer. What are you testing in each of these tests? And is it actually and it could be something as simple as capacity, core stamina, a grip test. There's so many different things that a test can break down to, but whatever you're testing, there should be a reason for it. And you should have kind of an expectation that the athletes have a minimum threshold. The athletes that will be advancing have a minimum threshold within that context, knowing that there's going to be an elevated challenge coming in the next stage of the competition.
And you would do every year that way? Every year would be that way?
Potentially. So, the thing that I acknowledged when I was being critical of this is, I think that for this year, you should have started from ground zero. And I've already said why. But I don't think that that you necessarily could not implement a structure that does capture a little bit more data over time. I just think that I would want to be involved with some other people to have a conversation about that. This is a simple study that I can do that's just for this year.
Yeah. And Brian says it well in the article, is that you give the athletes an ability to say, here's the line in the sand. Everything after this matters. And you're going to actually try during the Open. You're going to try during quarterfinals, where we see athletes today, they'll do the quarterfinals workout and then they'll just go back to what they were doing for the day. They'll do all 5 workouts in 24 hours and they won't really try too hard at any of them. In this case, it's raising the level to say you have to be within this 15% across all 5 tests to qualify to the next stage.
So the only sorry, I should think of a gentler way to word this, but the only thing that it solves, well, it creates one thing. It creates a more competitive atmosphere, but the only thing that it solves is it makes it so people who have major holes don't move forward. It actually doesn't address the issue.
That's not the only thing that it solves, but it is an issue that becomes true in this system. Yes.
It doesn't solve this issue that when I think of the worldwide rankings, the big thing that I think about in the strength of field number is the fact that you can't get the points that matter unless you go to the games.
Hold on to that thought until you see how this plays out, because this is not actually addressing worldwide ranking. It is addressing strength of field and the game spot allocation.
Oh, okay. I'll hold
it
on.
Actually, in some ways, it does away with worldwide ranking, which is better. Somewhat in the system that's currently there. It's kind of irrelevant anyway. You could say, oh, this is the number 1 ranked player in the world, a person in the world, based on whatever random point system that we have. But it doesn't actually matter in the way the rest of the season. There's nothing that you get for being first. You get the exact same thing for being 100th, but you get nothing if you're 101st.
Right.
And so you'll see here how performance ends up dictating some of that stuff down the line, and worldwide ranking kind of falls to the wayside.
One quick comment, Manny Spiegel. I find myself yearning to hear about Calvin Heimberg and Eagle McMahon tonight. Wait till I send you the. You know I got one of those dudes on the hook. He says he's game. He's coming on.
I know you didn't laugh at my response.
I meant to. It was good. I just can't tell you how
Got
proud
a
I
lot
am.
going on tonight.
I'm
Dude,
like,
I mean, you've been trying hard. That was I did see that text and I like kind of got really excited. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like if you just break through with one person, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, he'll tell someone else, right?
He's a pretty forward-facing person. 30 to 50,000 people watch his YouTube every week. So if he's like, oh, this week I was on this podcast, whatever.
Bam. We're in. Okay, Manny. Sorry, not tonight. I appreciate the yearning in your loins. Okay, I'm ready for I'm ready for more. Tell me more about this program. What are the implications? What is it?
We're just going to get straight to it. So if you open up that article and you go to the open, the subset of the open,
I don't know if Cornholio is joking or not. I hope Brian has himself covered when this gets plagiarized. And I would guess that Brian hopes it gets plagiarized. That is the last thing he's concerned about, right? Brian and Mike, you hope they take this, right, and run with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we did, we ran the study, and then we'll just go to the women, and we'll just show you what happened here. So this is the minimum work that ended up being required to get into the 15% threshold for women. And it turns out you actually, even in this study, you did not have to have a ring muscle up. You just had to get to the ring muscle ups by a certain time distinction, which is fine. I thought about making, I just wanted to run the study out. So we'll just show you what it is, and then I'll tell you why I just kind of allowed that to be for now.
Does everyone understand this who's watching it? I just want to make sure you understand it. Those are the workouts from this year's 2023 Open. And so for 23.1 to actually qualify for the quarterfinals, you would have needed 30 cleans by the 11-minute and 34 mark. So what Brian did is Brian and Mike Halpin did is they figured out what the top 15% was and then made that demarcation. Everyone else got basically by the 30 cleans, they got 85% of the people got worse than 11:34. I'm understanding this correctly, right?
Yes. The only thing you're misrepresenting is that I did any of the work on the back end. I did
Okay,
not.
Sorry. Anytime I say Brian's name, just insert Halpin.
Basically, I would say, Halpin, can you do this? And he would say, yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
And then he'd do it. But they wouldn't just need the 30 cleans by 11:34. They also needed a minimum of 5 rounds plus 2 burpee pull-ups. They also needed a minimum thruster of 147, and they needed a minimum of 8 strict handstand push-ups.
And then from there, they make it to the quarterfinals.
If they didn't meet any of those, then they would not be eligible to advance.
Okay. I love it.
And if you scroll down, you can see exactly how many people advanced from each part of the world.
And was this total number? How many people actually went to the quarterfinals with their current system?
It's more like 10,000 or so.
And in this system, it's 105,000.
Well, you can look. No, that's the total number that started, and 10% of that went. So that would be 10,591.
Oh, okay.
In our system, you can see the starting number of participants, not registrants. And in fact, there were more registrants, so that number was actually higher than 10,000 in their model. But either way, you see the number of starting athletes, the number in each region who qualified, the percentage of athletes that qualified from that region, and that in total on the women's side, 4,108 women were in the top 15% on all 4 of the open tests, and therefore those would be the athletes eligible to participate in quarterfinals. Nobody else.
And if I were to judge the continents, I would think that South America would have the most steroids and Asia would have the least. Therefore, they're the outliers. Just saying. I'm just saying. It's like if I were to be a judgmental asshole.
I mean, it's like, it basically settles on 4% everywhere. There's some high and some low, but that's the mean.
Right.
Which was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of a neat thing because, and we'll get to this towards the end, but obviously there's a perception that there's certain parts of the world that are predominantly stronger than others. And this is obviously, there's a huge number of people difference between 1,200 and 60, but relative to the number taking the test, it was pretty similar, meaning that there are still, the same number of athletes around the world in each region were good enough at this point to advance on a percentage scale.
Hey, Halpin, this is already amazing. This is I love this.
And
This
you're
is-
keeping up, so it's
Yeah, thank you. This is
better than
making.
most sides.
Oh,
so.
what are the implications that we only get half as many? I'm dying to ask the big question, right? Did any names get cut off? But I'll hold off.
We're going to get to that at the end. That's
okay.
the part I didn't want to show you early because I
The
knew you'd spend the whole
climax.
time there.
Obsessing. Yeah. Okay. So what are the implications? The implications are, in the most superficial sense, it's 5,000 less registrants, 6,000, which is $50 per person. So CrossFit HQ makes $300,000 less money.
They have the opportunity to make that much less money. But, there's a big percentage of quarterfinal qualifiers that don't sign up anyway.
Okay.
So it would be there's certain aspects of this that we wouldn't know until it played itself out. But if 50% of the people who make quarterfinals are signing up for it, but 90% of the people that qualify in this method are signing up for it, that's a notable difference. Now, if it's 50-50 either way, then it's, I would say then we go back to the drawing board because that's not really what we're looking for. I want to try to establish a model where the people that are making it to the next round want to be in the next round. And half the people that are making it right now don't because they're not signing up.
Let me ask you this. How many people did register for the quarterfinals? Do we know that number?
We have it somewhere.
Is it more than 4,000?
It is. Yeah.
It is. Okay. All right. I'm loving this. This is
So
great.
let's
So
look at
what
the
I'm
men.
looking at here is 105,000. 105,000 women signed up for the open individual.
Participated in it.
Participate.
Did all
Participate.
5 or 4 tests.
Okay. I like this. Wow. This is some crazy shit. Good stuff, dudes.
Okay, let's check the men. We'll just show you so we can see some.
Oh, well, let me
similarities, some
do
differences.
one more thing. Let me do one more thing off subject. Go back to the women again. Sorry. Go back to any surprises here in these numbers in terms of participants, anything that like knocked your sock off or isn't related necessarily to the scoring, but you're like, I'm going to make a note of that.
I mean, it's one of these things, and we're going to get to this later on anyway. But to me, it was notable the distribution of registrants or participants in this case from NA East to NA West to Europe, because those three are being treated relatively similar. And we've talked about this a couple of times recently with regards to the age groups, but there's basically 30% less people signing up in NA West compared to the other two. So that was something that kind of jumped off the page to me. The same number of percentages, or percentage-wise, the same number is advancing, but the people starting the season were a little bit different. And it's just, I thought it was just something to make note of.
Right. Okay. I like it. Okay. Thank you. Are you liking this, Caleb? This is cool, right?
And in terms of the minor continents, the numbers actually look nice because Oceania is the only one that currently has 3 spots, and they have the most people participating. Asia and South America get the same number of spots, and they're relatively close. And Africa gets the least spots, and they have the least. So, it makes sense from that. But that's to be expected because those spots were previously distributed based on open registration.
Okay. Hey, what about how much does it cost to register for the open for the quarterfinals?
$50.
Oh, let's raise it to 100. There we go, Jeremy. Taken care of. Raise it to 100.
Well, other conversations to be had about that. Let's take a look at the men. So these would be the minimum requirements for the men in the same model. Instead of having not to do any ring muscle ups, you have to be able to do at least 8. You got to do 16 more burpee pull-ups in the 6th round.
Wait a second. Are you suggesting that someone went to the quarterfinals with 0 ring muscle ups?
Yes, that happened. And 0 strict handstand push-ups and a laughable thruster weight relative to what's expected from a weightlifting perspective in the next round.
Wow.
So again, for the men, you would need to meet this number or more in each workout: 8 ring muscle ups, 5 rounds plus 18 burpee pull-ups, thruster 228 pounds, and then in the last workout, complete 20 strict handstand push-ups plus the double unders.
We are at the 33-minute mark. I have to take a 1-minute commercial break in honor of Dave Castro taking over the training department at CrossFit Inc. Congratulations, Dave.
You don't even have to want to do CrossFit. You don't have to want to be a coach. You don't have to want to be a trainer. If you just want the operating manual to your body, it's not just Forge and Elite Fitness. It's the operating manual to the human genome. You'll take this CrossFit Level 1 seminar and you will walk away inspired. From the second you leave, your entire life will change. You will make significant changes to your life because you are excited. You will start tweaking with your diet. You'll start tweaking with your movement. You'll start tweaking with who you hang out with. everything will take a shift. For some people, it'll be massive. For some people, it'll be a little bit. No matter what, you'll move towards a better life. Everyone is going to sense it in you that you are more accountable, more personally responsible, happier, more helpful, more thoughtful human being. And you'll be nicer to look at. You might talk too much shit about CrossFit, but
I hear a lawnmower in the background. Okay.
Did you wash your hair before that one?
No, I've never washed my hair. I haven't washed my hair
It
since
just looks so nice.
94.
You got it blown out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I had the gardener put the blower on it. Okay, I'm digging this. Okay, are we gonna get into this about who shit the bed, like who had
Yes.
0 and who had the worst? Oh, good. This is gonna be great. Okay.
That's towards the end.
Okay. Awesome.
So those are the minimums required. If you scroll down, you can see the number of athletes by region that were able to advance. There were more men that participated, nearly 161,000. Almost 7,000 of them would have qualified. And again, if you look on the percentage side of things, it was more like 4.5% average, with South America being the highest outlier again. And this time, I guess Africa by a small margin would be the lowest outlier.
Anything weird discrepancy between the men and the women?
Well, yes and no. Again, I want you to see the number of North America West compared to North America East, but especially compared to Europe. Europe had 57,000 men participate. North America East had about 41,000. North America West had about 30,000. But Europe's it's still not on par when you add those together. But that region is showing to be a lot of people signing up, similar number of people advancing, and we're going to talk more about them later on.
Hey, what about the fact that you carried two digits past the decimal for the men and not the women? Is that just more care? You like care like men more and deserve?
Gotta look out for my own.
Okay, fair
I don't
enough. Okay, fine. Yeah, I understand. You don't want to be accused of like too much attention for the women. That could get weird.
Quality.
I like that. Bias towards men too for protection in this Me Too era. That's very good, smart of you. Okay.
So that gets us through the open. Now we have 4,100 women, 6,900 men that are eligible to advance to the next round. Obviously, we have to see who signs up and then who participates of those people that sign up. And I was okay with these numbers. I thought so. The one reason that I didn't go back and say, well, let's just bump the ring muscle ups for women to at least 1, because we're already only at 4,100 advancing, and I think that that's fine. This model will eliminate a lot of people who don't have a ring muscle up anyway, because they will be below standard on either the handstand push-up or the thruster weight, which also both require a press out at the top.
Well, I love it. It's good. Sean M weighs in. Women are lucky to even get 1 digit. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So then at this point I said, okay, Mike, I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah.
Let's wait for the quarterfinals to finish and let's just try the same thing and see what happens. So he goes, okay, we'll apply 15% as a threshold for each scored event in the quarterfinals. And there were 5 of those.
Let me ask you this. Sorry, before we do that, is there a movement that's biased towards men or towards women? Like when I think of muscle ups, I think, is that unfair towards the women, because more women would have 0 than men because of just the nature of what men are capable of and what women are capable of, or like maybe women are better at handstand walks, or is that irrelevant?
Mostly irrelevant because they're not competing against each other.
Okay.
But in a programmer's mind, it should be relevant, because when you're programming a workout, you have a certain idea in mind, and you might say, I'm going to put 8 legless rope climbs here, and that's going to get the stimulus that I want. But if 8 legless rope climbs is not going to get the stimulus you want for the women, even though it might for the men, then it might be prudent to lower the number so you can still achieve the same desirable outcome.
Okay, and like you said, they're not competing against each other. So if women are worse at ring muscle ups or men are worse at handstand walk, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, Dave is a master of this principle. Think back to, I think it was 2010 or 11 when they did the ring handstand push-ups for the men and the ring push-ups for the women.
Okay.
because he didn't just want to see people standing there trying to kick up and whatever and wasting 10 minutes doing nothing. It's not very entertaining. And there have been programmers who've made this mistake, who've programmed too high of a density of something that just stops like a majority of the individuals or a team in its tracks. And then you don't get to see kind of the spectacle and everything that you came to watch for.
And that might be a good segue here, because in the next section, based on how they did it, just how they did it this year, there are thousands of athletes on both the men and the women that are left just standing there at a 275 bar, or they're left standing there doing 0 handstand push-ups.
Okay. It's crazy to me that someone can't do any handstand push-ups who can do so well in everything else. It's bizarre to me.
Yeah. And so keep in mind that the concept here is that every stage should screen for the next round. And that if you're testing something, there should be a reason. And that if you're not good enough at it, that should be a reason to preclude you from advancing to the next round.
Right.
So quarterfinals, we applied the same study, 15%. I had no idea how this would turn out. I just said, run the test. Let's see what happens. If we don't like it, maybe we'll try something else. But we did like it. And so we stuck with it. And so this is also just a 15% threshold in every quarterfinal test as a prerequisite to be eligible, not to qualify for, to be eligible for the semifinal stage of the season.
Oh, you put on several views since we started the show.
So let's go. I would guess this is not the most optimal time of the week for a show, Friday night, Cinco de Mayo, but whatever, we're doing it.
Is that what today is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had a few drinks earlier.
Oh, awesome. Feliz Navidad, Michael. I didn't realize you were Mexican.
So let's scroll down and take a look at the women. You're going to see the same thing here. There's going to be a minimum work for each of the workouts. And remember, you would have had to hit the minimum on all 5 of these things. So for the first, Mike, just in case you asked what the tests are, you may want to pull them up in case you don't have them in front of you. But minimum work on the first one would be 85 reps and an 11-minute tie break. I'm just going to read through them, and then if you want to ask, you can. In
Please.
the second one, you would have had done 5 rounds plus 8 dumbbell snatches. Workout 3, you would have had to finish in 9:18 or faster. Workout 4, you would have had to do 2 full rounds plus 160 meters on the row. And in workout 5, you would have had to finish in 9 minutes, 1 second or faster. If you didn't meet any one of those, you would not be eligible for the semifinal stage of competition.
I love it. Cornholio, the Onopen had 4 women in the top 11. That's good. That's a testament to his programming, I think, right?
Yeah, he was I did speak with him a few times about the workouts prior to the release of them, and he was very intent on making sure that the test was appealing to hopefully a big variety of people taking it. And in particular, he tried to make sure that the stimulus, like we just talked about, would be the same for the men as the women.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are the results out for that?
Seems like it.
Oh, all right.
I think it's done. 85 reps on the first workout would be having 5 handstand push-ups left at the tie break time.
I can't even remember what the workouts are, but thank you.
For anybody.
It ended with the wall-facing
21
handstand push-up.
Yeah, 21 wall-facing handstand push-ups.
And I'm lying when I say I can't remember them, because that would imply that I actually knew them at some point.
Right. So anyway, you can look at what the workouts are. Those are the minimums required. And if we had go further down from here, again, we can see the number of athletes in each competitive region that were able to do that. So in this case, and then the percentage we'll talk about in a second. But in this case, North America West, 58 women were able to meet the minimums. Europe, 75, North America East, 79, South America, 12, Asia, 4, Africa, 1, and Oceania, 25.
Nick Schroeder, friend seems a little aggressive tonight. Not at all. He's docile like a kitten tonight. You're misreading him. But thank you for the assessment from the stands. Brian, what about don't we need 300?
So this is the idea. You only need that number because it's a number that you've been told that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kind of a metric that we have been familiar with, 254 is not that far off, considering that we had no idea where this would end up when we started. So to me, it was kind of cool how close this was.
Okay, I got a good one. You're telling me, just so you know, I am going to Africa for their semifinal, and I got my first class ticket on Qatar Airlines. and I'm headed over there with Taylor. By the way, Taylor, I'll be in first class if you want to come up and get like a cloth napkin or real silverware. And you're telling me that when I get there, there's only going to be one athlete competing?
We'll get to that.
We account for that too.
Semifinal.
We'll
It's
get to
just
that.
going to be one. I can't wait to see who that is. You're going to tell me who that is by the end of the show?
It's not the one that you'd think. Taylor may not be going if it was this case. So.
Oh my goodness, Halpin, you're breaking my heart. But we are going to see who that is. That one.
Yeah,
we'll show you.
In the Oceania, where I'm going to see if Maddie Sturt and Ellie and the gang are in there.
Mm-hmm. You'll get to see.
Oh, this
who's
is
in and who's
good.
out.
Holy shit, this is scary.
Yeah. So once again, we see also with the percentages.
Hey, does Sydney Wells go? Does Sydney Wells go?
We'll get to that.
Oh no.
We'll get to that. Anyway, we'll just 254 women would be eligible to advance, and we'll just kind of pause right there. We'll look at the men, and then we'll explain kind of our thought from there.
No one from the eastern portion of Canada makes it, huh?
And that,
they all get cut.
Just to be clear, because there might be confusion, because in other cases there's minimums. In that case, that one athlete from Africa qualified. That is not like giving a minimum. And the same for Asia. We didn't give any minimums on this. They could have gotten 0, but they got 1.
And there were some people, we posted on Instagram this morning, and there were some people that have read through the article that have given some thoughtful questions and responses. And that's kind of what I landed on in trying to communicate with them is this is purely performance based. So this is objective. We ran the tests. We know that the athletes didn't know that this test study would be applied to them, and we're acknowledging that. But based on, I just wanted to see what would happen. Is it possible to apply a system like this to only online competitions that we know are not run perfectly, and end up in a place where we have a field of semifinalists that is actually capable of taking the test and is competitive against each other to compete for spots at the games?
Crazy.
And so
Halpin,
we're almost
watching UFC. Do you watch UFC, right, Halpin?
From time to time, not every one of them.
Okay, so sorry, Brian. I got distracted by a thought in between in here.
If you thought I was watching it on TV right now, no.
No. I was wondering if you're going to watch tomorrow night. But
it's tomorrow night. That's how much I know. Is that it's tomorrow night.
Okay. This is exciting, Brian. I can't wait. I'm so curious how you're going to solve this problem. And now I got all sorts of questions. I can't wait to the next slide. Let's move on.
So men.
I got some questions.
Men, same metrics applied. They would have needed to do the first workout in 11 minutes, 53 seconds or faster. And the second workout, 5 rounds plus 7 dumbbell snatches or more. Workout 3, finish in 9:19 or less, which was kind of cool because it was within 1 second of the minimum work requirement for women. Number 4, 2 rounds plus 540 meters on the rower. And workout 5, 7 minutes, 10 seconds or faster, which was dramatically different relative to the women, because like we talked about earlier, the workout ended with 9 legless rope climbs, and that a minute and 50 seconds difference is basically all because of the legless rope climbs.
A couple things here, Brian. I hope I interrupted at the right time when you're taking a pause. Daniel Garrity, what if the people stop competing after each workout? Once they find out they're outside the top 15%, it will narrow the field. So you're saying that if you realize in workout 1 you were outside of the top 15%, that you wouldn't even bother doing workout 2? Is that what he's saying?
I mean, yeah, I think that's the scenario that he's potentially presenting. And I would just say that I think that with the group, like the hope would be here that with the group of athletes that it is advancing, that they're taking this test for more reasons than just one. And there are some other ideas that I have about the way that these particular tests in this model, open and quarterfinals, would then show relevance for competitions outside the season that would encourage them to want to place as well as they could anyway. But that's a much bigger picture topic. And this is not a perfect solution. This is a solution that is just demonstrating a way that it could be done only using data from this season. And I was like I always say, there are things I don't know about what happens in the conversations of the CrossFit Games team at headquarters, et cetera. But I do think that there are elements of this that could contribute to some solutions that would meet their objective more closely, which is to actually assess the competitive landscape of the field this year.
Can we go back up and look at the women one more time? This is off subject, but are you shocked by the fact that North America East has more than Europe by itself?
No, we'll get to that later on. We're specifically going to talk about Europe and the misperception with your
You're not shocked. You're not shocked by that.
Past. No.
Okay.
No one should be shocked by anything right now. This isn't just we're learning as we go, and we're learning some things that we didn't know because the models that are in place previously don't allow us to come to the same conclusions.
Okay. Hey, just so you know, my thoughts about the CrossFit Games staff is that they don't even have the bandwidth to absorb this information. And that basically that by 3 days from now, there'll be 10,000 people who see this video who know more about the CrossFit Games performances in the mathematical sense than 99% of the staff at CrossFit HQ. That's my assessment, and that's not a dig. I'm just telling you that's how good I think this is what you and Halpin have done, and the limited bandwidth they have to digest this. I think it's very limited, unless they're watching it right now.
Well, they could also watch it anytime they want after the fact.
Right. They could be right. That's fair enough. I hope they do. This is great. This is fucking amazing. Okay, here we go. Let's go.
So here are the number of men by competitive region that would have met those minimum thresholds. North America West, 45. Europe, 109. North America.
So the men, isn't that ass backwards than than our conventional wisdom that the fucking women are better in Europe and the men are better in the Americas, and your thing is fucking it all up.
Well, this is exactly why it's important to do a study like this.
Okay.
You're jumping the gun. Do you want me to just jump to the end already?
No. I don't know. Okay. Sorry. But I wish my wife to tell my wife that.
Can you do math?
I wish my wife would say that to me. Just take it to the. Do you want me just to jump to the end? Yes, please.
Sevan, what's 45 plus 77?
45 plus 77 is 110 plus 119, I think.
Anyone else get a different number?
112.
There we go.
112.
So in totality, between North America West and East, which have 45 and 77, there's 112 men, and Europe has 109.
Right.
There's basically a wash.
Yeah.
We're going to keep in mind in the current model and all of the previous models, Europe gets half the qualifiers to the games as North America in total. But they have the same number, more or less, within 3 that are advancing to this stage of the competition, meaning they have the same number who've been good enough at the tests that were given by the programmer that should serve as prerequisites to the next round. Continuing down, South America 21, Asia 6, Africa 4, Oceania 24. 286 total. So we had 200.
I apologize. It's not 112.
Okay.
It's 122. Sorry. 122. Sorry. 122. Thank you. Oh, there you go. Oh shit! Look at all you guys fucking piling in. Okay, fine.
Barclay, definitely.
286 total athletes in the male side would be eligible for the next round. 254 on the women. And again, we ran these without knowing where we would end up, and both of us were like, "Damn, that's pretty close to 300." But those 300 are selected in a way that doesn't reward performance. It just is a number of spots that was arbitrarily selected. Who decided 30 was the number or 60 was the number?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I see what you're saying.
And it certainly isn't based on performance.
It's not that the people weren't picked based on performance. It's that the number in the test wasn't okay.
We got to the number 300 based on an arbitrary distribution. We're getting to 286 based on the performance of the athletes against themselves and the best rising to the top.
Okay, and by the way, I canceled my trip to Africa, but now I'm going because I see that the men are going to compete. I'll go just for the men. Originally, I was going just for the women, but I guess I'll go for the men.
Just stay on hold with the travel agent for a minute.
Okay.
You might want to redirect.
Sorry. Stand by.
So, and in this
to Asia where they have 50% more athletes.
Oh no, they're coming together. So one other thing to call out is with that today, 60 men from Europe and 30 men from Asia and 30 men from Africa all go to a semifinal. But in this case, this shows that 105 more men in Europe than Africa did as well as those 4 in Africa. So with that, it's showing that there's a substantially tilted scale here for getting the right people to the next stage.
What do you mean by that? Substantially tilted?
Well, in this case, if you only took 60 people from Europe, which we'll get to, there's what 49.
He's basically saying there's 50% more athletes from Europe competing in the semifinals currently than Africa.
Okay.
But in this model, out of 113 between Africa and Europe, it's like 96% of them are European.
Right.
And 4%. But so instead of getting a 66-33 distribution, this would be dramatically different. And we'll see that. Any other questions about where we're at right now?
No, this is good.
So 254 and 268 are eligible, and those numbers are going to continue to be important. There's two things we want to distinguish here. One is it's not logistically feasible to run a semifinal with 109 European men. Now, you could potentially talk about, well, then they should earn 2, which is fine to say, and that's potentially something. But we just chose kind of not to do that. We decided that because we were trying to change as little as possible, we're going to cap any semifinal at 60. Which is a number that they have previously selected, meaning that it seems like it's logistically possible to run a semifinal with that number of athletes. I do think that there are, in the way that we're going to make some modifications for Asia and Africa, that there are some minimums that you could impose. You could say if a competitive region has at least 100, they'll be split in half and we'll have 2. Like you could possibly make a caveat for that.
What about going the other way? Just take 60.
That's
just
what we
like,
did.
Sorry.
That's
what
we did.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to show you.
Does that piss you off? Would that piss you off?
No, because it's
because it's using a system and then kind of neglecting the results.
Yes and no, because of this next part.
Okay.
So as you see that, we're trying to change as little from the current system as possible. So we still want to have some representation from that system because it's not entirely flawed.
Okay.
Game spots distribution is where those numbers will become relevant. So basically, we have heard Dave Eubanks talk about the fact that they tested it with 50 athletes. They tested it with 100, 200, 300. They ran these different tests and they kind of thought 100 was the sweet spot. But what we decided to do was we'll run it with the number that proved that they were good enough to be there, even if they're not all going to be there. So we're going to use 286 and 254, and we're going to do the DeHunt distribution method for game spots based on that.
And can you remind me what the DeHunt was, or is it simple? What was the DeHunt again?
It's a method of allocating spots by the number they have for each. Well, in the CrossFit version of it, the number they have in total in whatever grouping that we have. So in this case, it's 2 of 56. CrossFit's is out of the top 100, and it says if NA East has 30, they at the first round of the DeHunt method, they get 30 votes. And then if they win, it splits it in half. There's a whole bunch of math involved. I don't want to bore you. But it's a method of voting. Some countries actually use it for their parliament, things like that.
So
Oh, Wad Zombie. This is. I feel like No, you're not too dumb for this conversation. It's actually really easy. But give it a second. We'll start at the top and run through the whole thing like in 90 seconds when we're done. Once we get through all this, it's super cool. It's tight.
So Africa and Asia obviously jumped out.
Wait, stand by. Rosie, I'm currently taking a shower. Got to shave this cactus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Great.
I like it. Someone's listening to us in the shower. Okay. Who made that sound? Who made that? Who did that?
I did. I was struggling to find something.
Oh.
But I found it now. Okay. So Africa and Asia. Obviously, there were not a lot of qualifiers, and it seems, like you said, quite silly to have a competition with one person competing in it. So we just said that you need to have a minimum number to warrant having your own semifinal. And in this case, because Asia and Africa did not, but we still want to have some element of global representation, and all of these athletes have proven to be good enough to take the next test, we're going to combine them. So in this case, there'll be 10 total men from Africa and Asia and 5 total women from Africa and Asia competing for a minimum of 1 game spot. We're going to show you what the games distribution ends up looking like for men and women now, so you can actually see how many in each region would be going to the games in this model.
Oh, based on that
DeHunt distribution using the 286 and the 254.
Okay.
We didn't strip it down to 100. We've already vetted the field through 2 rounds of testing. We know the 286 and the 254 that were good enough at the tests that the programmer gave to be prepared for the next round of tests. So we're going to use those numbers to distribute the game spots, because that is the competitive distribution of athletes in the field this year.
So on the far right, there's a column semifinal spots. So if I went to North America, if I went to Pasadena, I would see 58 competitors.
Yeah. So we're capping it at 60. They only had 58 that make it, so they don't get an extra 2. Those 2 weren't good enough, so they just get all 58. In Europe, they had more than 60, so some that were good enough still don't get to compete. And
what about
North America East?
Okay, if you combine South America and Asia into a semifinal, that means an African won't be going, right? Or South America might not go, or South America might not go. Is that a problem? Are we trying to get some national?
We still want to be like somewhat respectful of travel. Like if you're sending everyone from Asia and Africa to South America, that's a massive ask. If you're sending everyone from South America to the Middle East, that's a massive ask. Well, I mean, Asia and Africa are massive anyway. We ask, and most of the South American or the African athletes are South American, but basically we just have a central location. We're suggesting the UAE. There's plenty of other options. Egypt has plenty of good competitions that they host and is a fairly central location. But the idea is, and I'm sorry, but I don't have any interest in watching the 30 women in Africa that are going to be taking the semifinal test this year. 25 of them at least have no business taking the test because their performances in the previous stages did not show the capacity that's going to be required. If we look at what the quarterfinals was and project to what the semifinals could be based on that, there's going to be tons of athletes in that field that are just going to be standing around doing nothing at some points. They won't have the skill, they won't have the strength, or they won't have the capacity to take those tests. At least they shouldn't, because the test should be progressing.
But what about like the whole communal part of it, or letting each country get at least some representation to encourage growth or participation? How about all that stuff? All that fancy
we
stuff.
see that here. We see that here. You have to have a minimum number to even host a semifinal. And then based on the minimum number, if once you meet that, what South America did and Africa, Asia combined do.
There's a good chance no one would ever go from Africa again.
All that has to happen is the one person from Africa has to beat the 4 people from Asia who proved to be good, also good enough at this test. That's a 20% chance.
Okay, then someone from Asia might not ever go again.
This year's competitive landscape has no bearing on next year's in this hypothetical model. So they just need to get better.
Okay,
that's another reason why you would take the quarterfinal test, so that you can look back and you can say, okay, where are the things that kept me out? You have a really tangible answer to that question.
Yeah, our version of this DeHaan method does not align with like what Brian Spin has talked about with Africa, or with some of the things where it looks back 2 years and you sort of have to like thread the needle to ever get somebody out of some of these continents. In this case, the 286 or whatever the number is, they all go into that same bucket, and then their votes come out to say where some of these go. So if all of a sudden 20 people from Africa or 20 people from Asia can land in the top 15% of the world, they would get more spots at the games through this method.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, so that Africa and Asia, that 5 is 5 men and 5 women.
No, this is the women.
Just women. Okay.
And so if we look here, it's not that far off of what's actually happening. In our model, 9 women from North America West would qualify. In CrossFits, they get 10. In Europe, our model shows 12. Their model shows 11. Our model shows 12 for North America East, and theirs shows 11. So the 2 strongest regions, North America East and Europe, would each get 1 extra spot. North America West would get 1 less. And then you would see, as you go down to the other continents, Africa.
Which is probably the way it should be. We all know that.
Africa and Asia have 3 in the current model. In this model, they only get 1. And their other 2 spots are basically going to Europe and North America. And then Oceania gets an extra 1. They go from 3 to 4 in this model. And their strength of the field of their women is rewarded there. That's the spot that comes from North America West, and South America remains at 2. Unchanged.
I like it.
I would be more interested in watching the 5 women from Africa and Asia that were good enough to get there. Now I'm going to learn who those athletes are. I'm going to know who to be watching, because there's only 5 of them. It should be competitive. They all will feel like they have a chance there. And the same thing in South America, 12 women competing for 2 spots. I'm interested in that. 30 women competing for 2 spots. I'm only interested in the last heat anyway.
Jeremy Garcia, if you don't want to lose 13-0 to us in women's soccer, then get better. So I Googled that, and I guess in 2019, the women, USA women beat Thailand 13-0.
Yikes.
A little bit of
Poured it on.
sports. There you go.
Poured it on.
I've lost a game or two like that.
You
it
have?
sucks. Yeah, I remember one year we thought we had a really good team. We went somewhere else traveled for a tournament, and we lost games like 5-0, 7-0, 9-0.
You were the coach? You were the coach?
No, I was on the team playing. I was when I was a kid.
Oh, that's brutal.
You weren't the goalie, were you?
No, thank God.
That'd be rough.
Should we look at the men? Is this the men? No.
That's women. There you go.
Men.
There it is. We're getting there.
So yeah, this is what you want. Did you see, Sevan?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you see?
I think
What do
I
you see?
I see Africa and Asia. I see Oceania.
Oh, a little higher.
North America
major-
West, 6.
So the major
Europe, 15. There you go, the men again. European men kicking ass. I thought they shit the bed. I thought Bjorkman, Carl Goodmanson was their only quality athlete.
Well, there's a difference between having athletes that are competitive
Sorry,
at
Lazar.
the very
Sorry,
top
Lazar.
of the sport, and and athletes that are a region that shows a lot of depth to its competitive field. And so one thing that we've been deprived of over the years is understanding truly how deep the competitive field is in Europe, because for a long time they were only getting 5 spots, and all 5 of those athletes were placing in the top half of the field on a regular basis, but we never knew how 6, 7, and 8 would do on any given year because they weren't going there. And in the meantime, we had a bunch of, this is specifically in the women's field, a bunch of women from North America that were finishing pretty low. And I was contending that we got 20 women or more from North America and only 5 from Europe. And the 5 from Europe are beating 20 of those women from North America, whatever it is. Why don't we have a few more in Europe? But that was back then. And the landscape is constantly changing, which is why I think that it's dangerous to have a model that builds on the past. So in this current model of this current season, North America West has only 45 people at semifinals and only gets 6 spots to the games. That's 3 less than they have in the system right now with 9. North America East gets 10 spots instead of 12. Most of those spots are going to Europe. So North America lost 1 and 2. That's 3 of them, and they're going to Europe, which had 11 and now gets 15. So that 3 of those 4 are coming from North America.
That's huge.
Yeah. South America goes from 2 to 3, which is a bump up of 1. Asia and Africa did have 3. In this model, they get 2 combined. And Oceania once again gains a spot and goes from 3 to 4, showing that the men, even without the likes of, well, Ricky probably did factor into this study because he was good enough to make it. But
Jamie Latimer, did Jocko go woke? Yes, he pushes sugar water and protein drinks in a can, probably. But he's butt buddies with Andy Stumpf.
okay,
Him and Stumpf are butt buddies. So of course he hates Greg because he doesn't know shit and he'll believe anything. I don't actually know if Jocko hates Greg, but and I listened to the podcast, and I thought Dave fucking killed it. He called Jocko and David Goggins pop seals.
I like that part. Yeah.
If that doesn't get you excited, go listen to it. It makes you. There's a difference. I can't wait to have Dave on and ask him about the difference between the seals, and there is a difference. Well, I think there is, from the integrity, and they're just the people. Just people. But anyway, I enjoyed that podcast. I thought Dave murdered it, and he was very respectful of Jocko, and I actually came away liking Jocko more than normal. But yeah, Jocko, it's inappropriate to fucking mention Glassman's name without first saying how many people's lives did he change? How many people's lives did he save? How many millions of days did he add to people's lives here on planet Earth? That you know that for a fact. So before you start speculating dumb shit, at least fucking say that. Now, Jocko, I didn't get the impression that Jocko doesn't like Greg from listening to that. The worst thing he said about Greg is that, you know, he speaks the truth to a fault. Maybe I think that's what he said. But it's crazy not to recognize Dude, it's someone on every single continent by the thousands, except for Antarctica, has had days added to their life or knows someone it saved their life. Matt Fraser himself said that it's probably saved his dad's life, the diet component, and one of his friends lost 100 pounds. And Matt was a full-blown hater when he went on Rogan. These people are don't fucking think straight. They need, I hope their karma does not catch up with them. Okay, sorry. I bring it back. I'll reel it in. Jamie, that's your fault. I blame you. I'll play the victim there. Got it.
For your own learning, I actually want you to read the next section.
Okay, great. Here we go. I have the European misperception. Well, if I do have a misperception, it's Brian's fault. For those who have been following my work for years, you may recall that on multiple occasions I've suggested that there is no group in the world being slighted more than the women in Europe. Yep, that's my takeaway from from being your student for years. And that was in fact true at the time, which was every moment prior to right now, 7:16 p.m. on May 5th, 2023, Cinco de Mayo. However, unlike the current worldwide rankings and strength of field system that CrossFit is using, our system does not account for what used to be. Rather, it accounts for what actually is now. And in the current competitive landscape, we see that it is, in fact, the European men, not the European women, who are not being adequately represented this season. Based on their performance this season, they've earned 15 game spots, one less than North American men. Wow. Let me read that again. Based on their performance this season, the European men have earned 15 game spots using this brilliant method that Mike Halpin and Brian Friend are presenting today. That's cool. Yeah, I'm digging it, dude.
And the last part is your 90-second synopsis.
Oh, okay. We believe this model is the true representation of the strength of field for this year's group of competitive athletes competing in the CrossFit Games.
Season.
They were vetted through the open and performed in the top 15% of all tests against all worldwide participants. Okay, so that's the first thing, the distinction. Remember, the current method uses registrants. This method that Halpin and Brian have devised uses participants, meaning you have to do all the workouts. You can't just pay the money. So that makes sense. There's no question there. And then you have to finish in the top 15% of every workout to even be considered to move on to the next stage from open to quarterfinals. So that makes sense. So you may be first place in 3 of the workouts, but you shit the bed in another one and you don't move on. And we've already talked about what the implications of that and the reasoning of that, and that makes sense. You don't want someone going to the quarterfinals who's just taking a spot who doesn't have muscle ups, right? And then maybe you might get someone from the adaptive class who's in a wheelchair who can't do the running, sneaking in and taking a space from an able-bodied person. God forbid we let that happen. They were vetted through the quarterfinals and performed in the top 15% of all tests against all worldwide participants who previously had proven themselves in the open and chose to participate in quarterfinals. So the quarterfinals just work the exact same way as the open, right? Taking that top 15% of every workout. That's the distinction. Once we establish the group who, based on performance, are qualified to tackle the next stage of the test, semifinals, we use them to distribute games qualifying spots. That was what we just talked about there, where after you do that, you see using the DeHaan method, still using the games method, you are actually using the most up-to-date data to allocate spots, most up-to-date and precise, with the caveat that you can't have a massive hole somewhere. And you end up with what we saw right away is that European men are better than we thought. Luka, welcome to the 2023 CrossFit Games. Luka Jukic.
I want to read these last 2.
Hey, that fucks Colton, right?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not the way to think about anything.
Okay, good. All right, sorry. All right, I'm so negative.
It's a performance-based model. We will, Sevan, it's getting almost to the time we're going to show you who made it and who didn't and why.
All right. Look at Caleb's all excited. We believe this will yield semifinal fields that are composed of athletes who are actually capable of taking the test and ultimately get a games field that will be both a global representation of athletes. Well, I'm not buying that yet. And an accurate, this part's true, an accurate depiction of where the best athletes this season are coming from. I think that's some woke shit right there, boys. You can't prove that. And ultimately a games field that will be both a global, everyone could come from Rhode Island the way you're doing your shit.
No,
okay.
They cannot.
All right. Fine. Look at Halpin's like, well, let me see what that would require.
It would be the population of Rhode Island, I think. Would be the problem.
All right. This is good.
Okay, are you ready for the fun?
Yeah, this is cool. Is it in your article? I'm scrolling down now to
No.
see.
We didn't because that's what
Oh
everyone.
shit! You're afraid you're gonna hurt someone's feelings? Don't hurt them.
No, I'm afraid that people will get caught up in the names and miss the system.
Okay.
The
Well, you should.
concepts
Are you
are
gonna
more
publish the
important than
names
the
next week somewhere? You should.
We're going to show them right
We'll
now.
be here.
So if you want to know them, you got to come to the Real Sevan Podcast. It's the only place to find it.
BeFriendlyFitness.com. Yeah, Sevan Podcast, the only place to find it. Clip it 114.
We're going to rip this clip right off of there and put it on the website. As you told me I could, though.
This is good. Yeah, rip away. And do you want me to crop Caleb out right now?
Men or women? No, he has to show you this. He's been sitting on this information all day.
There you go.
No, Caleb, come back.
Men or women, Sevan?
Here we go. Women. Oh, DeJuan Young.
Women?
I know who she is. Yeah.
Okay, these are the qualifiers. These are the ones who were good enough to participate in semifinals. There are your 4 athletes from Asia and your 1 athlete from Africa that in this model would be competing against each other for 1 spot to the CrossFit Games.
Seher Kaya is, I thought she's Turkish. How does she get
Yeah, she lives in Norway. She's from Turkey, which is in Asia, and therefore she can compete in the Asian.
Oh, okay.
competitive
Who's the African one?
Gemma Rader.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we will get to, and most people are probably expecting either Christina Livatakis or Michelle Basnet. We'll get to at least one of those in a minute.
I was hoping Michelle Basnet.
And just for the numbers, folks, here, what you're seeing there to the right is their percentages on every one of the workouts. So in Emma's case, she on workout 2, that was her highest. She was at the 11th percentile, you could call it.
But well within the range. Whereas you see the one Russian woman, Alina Alexandrova, had 2 data points that were 13.7 and 13.96%. So she was flirting with the cut line on 2 of the 5 tests.
Oh, I see what those are. Okay.
If any one of those numbers is over 15%, you're out. So everyone on this list will all be under. The only question is how much under.
Which the article doesn't touch on this, but this tries to represent then a live competition. You only get 1 shot, or even in an online competition, you get 24 hours. But if you shit the bed on the first workout, you're pretty much done. Like, we're going to see it at semifinals. There's 60 people in a field. If you don't do well on the first day and you're placing 40th or 50th, you're going to have a hard time climbing back out of it. But in this case, it's just online. They have to get all of it in there. You only get 1 shot. If you do worse than 15%, you're not going to make it. Now, the thing is, you don't know what 15% is until they go through all of the process and show it on the other side. So you got to just put your best foot forward.
Seher Kai killed workout number 2, huh?
Yeah.
What place did she take in? Oh, yeah. Really? Top 100?
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay.
South America would get 12 women. We'll see who they are here.
This is to go to the games. No, this is to go to semifinals.
Semifinals.
Okay.
Zoom out a little.
Kind of no surprise there, right? Those are the girls, right?
Yeah, these are, I mean.
Campos, Cato. There was one other girl I recognized at the top there. Nevis, yeah.
And then the women that are on my radar as kind of sleeper picks this year. Actually, we picked them. I think I even picked her last year. Luisa Marquez, Amanda Fusomo, Andrea Pinheiro. They're all here. So,
Connie Cabrera. Yeah.
And you got their worldwide rankings. It lines up perfectly. That worldwide ranking is CrossFit's worldwide ranking?
No, that's their ranking using this model.
Okay.
Across all 200 and whatever it is.
254.
Yeah. And then the region one is just ranking those athletes for that region. So Sasha's number 1 and so on. Yeah.
Okay.
But Sasha is 51st across all of the 200.
Yeah. And if you go back to the left, you can see that in the case of Asia and Africa, there's also a couple of women that are in the top 100, right? Dawan and Seher. You see where Emma Rader came in 225 out of 254. Obviously, and then the woman from Russia was the second to last person in.
Sorry, take 120 seconds. Jocko thinks CrossFit is awesome now because I think he's doing business with them via his energy drink. 100%. The entire podcast was actually really good until you got to the end, and it basically Jocko betrays himself because you walk away asking one question: what took him so long to get a dev group guy on who's probably one of the most famous SEALs in the world who didn't fucking use his SEALdom to become famous? He did something fucking else. And his contribution to fucking humanity, health, fitness is remarkable. But for some reason, he has all these other fucking ding-dongs on his show. And now all of a sudden he has Dave on, like I said, who is a dev group guy. It's fucking asinine. He betrayed himself. He should have, I just think he should have shown a little humility. He should have been honest, been like, I thought you were a dick before or something. He should have came clean, because it is fucking weird that we're 16 years into this fucking thing of Dave working there and he finally makes it on that podcast. Like, and why? Because Jocko's pushing his can that's lined with plastics that are fucking horrible for you and that shit to CrossFitters, which, by the way, I haven't tasted and I'm sure I'd enjoy. And Jocko, you're always welcome to come on my podcast. Thank you. No hard feelings. Just stating the fact. What about this? Let's go. Let's touch on Semper Fidel's emotions, because I got a little bit of this woke tard in me too. Why do regions have to be? Oh, no, he's the opposite of me. He's saying, why do regions have to be represented? There's potentially fitter people that in the American bottom 45 than Africa top 2. I feel like I can answer that. I want to hear you guys answer. I think regions should be represented.
I think majority of people do think that. I think that there's also people like me that don't think that they need to be unnecessarily overrepresented. And like I said, this is a performance-based model. We see that there are still women and men in the world that were good enough to advance to this stage of the competition, meaning that they're good enough to take the semifinal test. They have the prerequisite skills. And of course, this is assuming that the programming is building on itself, which seems like I can't really understand why it wouldn't. And these are the athletes that I want to see take the test, the ones that are good enough to take it. You're going to see at every semifinal that there's going to be, this group of athletes that's struggling or unable to do something.
Okay. We're getting close. This is getting good. Oceano, there's my girl. God, I think we're going to get her on the show soon. Holy shit, she's that good, huh? She's the number 1 seed, Caitlin Van Zyl. Did I pronounce it right?
I don't think so, but close. Okay. 16th in the world.
But number 1 in Oceania.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome. Wow. Oh no.
What?
Sturt's 10?
Yeah.
How many did you check your math, Halpin?
Well, look at her numbers. Look at number
2.
1%, 3%, 2%, 0.2%, 4%, 14%. So there was one thing that she was clearly bad at. Do you know what that test was? It's a crossovers, single under.
Oh.
So that's not 2? A fitness thing. That's a skill thing. Okay. On the fitness tests, if you could do the crossover singles, it's just a capacity test basically for these athletes. But outside of that, her numbers would probably be that would be up there in the top 5 at least.
Okay. She's the same woman that you showed a video of with Jay Crouch shirtless in the background doing crossover double unders.
How dare you, Halpin? I know exactly who fucking Maddie Sturt is. You fucking.
I'm just saying she did crossover double unders just fine in the video.
You watch your mouth. Maddie Sturt's my girl. People are going to think she's not. I'm looking for it right now. I'm on her Instagram. Here it is. Trying to fucking one-up me, Halpin.
I was trying to call for the video. It's a good video. Fine. Get distracted by Jay Crouch in the background, though.
Just start with, of course, and I love how you highlight her, Sevan, right? Mm-hmm. Here we go. Sorry, Caleb. Okay, so she's basically saying fuck you to workout number 2.
She's been practicing.
Okay. You see Abraham Lincoln just sitting there in the background.
Just a statue.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, and she looks a little crowded in the pecs too, like we saw what's his name was doing. Taylor, right?
There's another word for that, but yeah. For
what is it? Oh,
breast.
Okay.
Breast,
whatever. Breast pecs.
Crowded in the chest is
crowded chest. Is that the exact? Something looks different about the way she's doing. Oh, this isn't that show. Okay. Anyway, awesome. This is great. Okay, Maddie Sturt. I like that. You gave me hope. Thank you for letting me. I would love it if her and Jay went. Wouldn't that be dope?
We can keep going across if you want.
Here we go again, you son of a bitch. This guy just doesn't want everyone to go. He just wants the best. Again, why should Gemma, who's ranked 225, but gets to go to the games, but Americans with rank 150 does not? It's not fair.
Okay, it's a valid question. And there is, as we mentioned, there is potentially another solution, which would be to create an additional semifinal. So you could say that if you're over 60, then we split them in half. So in the case of Europe, since they had 75 women, we would say, okay, well, 37 are going to go here, 38 are going to go there, and they're going to have 2 semifinals. But that's changing a little. We are trying to keep things relatively tight to the current system that's in place in terms of the number of semifinals, because there are tons of other elements that we can't necessarily address here, but the viability or financially of sustaining a semifinal is something that has to be considered. And, if for CrossFit, it's something that would have to be considered. So he's not wrong. I totally get where he's coming from. But again, I would just think this is just an experiment. This is just a way to see, is it possible to only use the data from this year to land at a competitive semifinal field and have a better perspective on what the competitive landscape actually is before saying these are the spots that are going to be allocated to the games.
And so Danny Spiegel from North America West is number 1. The great Lauren Fisher, who I have no doubt.
Number 1, she's number 8.
Oh, good. Make me feel better. Okay, let's go back to that. Here we go. Wow. Ariel Lowen, no surprise at the top. Always
maybe a surprise that she's 3rd in the world, though.
Wow. Alex Gazan coming in hot this year. Rebecca Fuselier.
Incredibly impressive. Yep.
Kelly Baker.
Mm-hmm. Who you don't believe in.
Yeah. I mean, I want to believe in her. God, I hope I can get on the bandwagon. Emily Rolfe. Christine Kohlenbrander. Do I know who Emily Rolfe is? Who is that?
Remember, she got the blood clot in her hand during Bike to Work event, one of the games last year.
Yeah. Of course, I know who that is. Okay, great. Okay, yeah. I apologize. Emily Rolfe. Yeah, she's going to the games for.
There's tons of things I could have said about her, but I had a feling that would be the one to trigger your memory.
Thank you. There are 2 things about her that stand out, and that's definitely one of them. Christine Kohlenbrander from Jared Graybeal's event.
Zales Games. Actually,
yes.
Christine's she's looking really good in a lot of the videos I've seen. She looks. I'm excited to see her at semifinals.
Miss Kerstetter, the child that is good enough to compete at the games, bizarre, super impressive. Danny Spiegel, number 8. Number 9, Lauren Fisher, former CrossFit Games athlete, hanging on the bubble. How many did we say would go from this region? 9 or 10? 10 for the women.
Women quarterfinals.
That's to the games. All 58 of these would go to semifinals.
But I'm just saying, I'm just
9.
guessing if, okay. Oh
9,
no,
so she'd
that
be
means
right there.
Freya Moosbrugger might not go.
Well, this is like we'll get to shows where we're going to have to make predictions about who's going to get in and out. But in this model here, coming into the semifinals, outside the cut line are Bailey Rail, 2-time Games athlete the last 2 years, Freya Moosbrugger, Games athlete from last year, Sydney McAlishan, Games athlete from last year. Obviously, the semifinal things can change, but it does give a decent idea that West semifinal is not quite as easy as you may have thought.
Bruce Wayne, why did they put Danny on the West Flyer and not Lowen? Come on, Brucey. Come on, Brucey.
You know why.
1.8 million reasons of ass shots. Sydney McAlishan. Allison Scuds, Katrin David's daughter. Trista Smith, another kid.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Clark, what the fuck? You check your math on that, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's look at that. What's up with her 9 point? Oh wait, what workout was that? Number 4. This has devolved into an athlete show instead of a ranking show.
This is why we showed this last. That was the rowing and GHD workout.
V-ups.
Okay.
V-ups.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's another call out for people watching at home. This also includes all penalties. So if an athlete got a penalty, they took a 15% bump on their score here.
Anyway, we can go to look at the last 2 regions if you want to. This is Europe in yellow, and all the way at the top you're going to have Laura, Gabby, Magnon, Emma, etc. Annie Thorsdottir 6th there, Sarah Sigmundsdottir 9th. They get 12 spots in this model.
Keep scrolling down. There was someone down there that I was surprised that I saw down there. I thought Dahlstrom. That's Emma McQuaid.
Emma McQuaid did the semifinals. I think she was quite sick when she did it, but even so, you see that big number on workout 2, most likely a result of a penalty.
Okay, and then at 26 we have our redheaded Wonder Woman, who's actually going team. Was
yeah. There are some team athletes in here as well.
Yeah,
We
Alexis
didn't vet them.
Johnson was on there
You know,
too.
this is just all the athletes that made it. They were the ones that chose to participate in the quarterfinals this year, whether they were going to do team or not. They did the individual quarterfinals.
Oh, what is Jamie referencing here? Who were the two who did not make the cut in West on your model? What did she catch there that I didn't catch?
There's 58. That's not exactly
how it works. Right.
Oh,
It's not,
but I see what she's saying. Okay, clever.
the 58
Good
that
job,
made it
Jamie.
in this model are not necessarily also all in the model that are competing at quarterfinals. Like,
Is there anyone that you're like, holy shit, they didn't make it?
you want? Yeah, we can skip
we'll
to
show you
that,
that in a
list
little
if you
bit.
want.
Okay.
If you want to show the last one, I think it has the number 1 athlete in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Isn't it amazing? I bet you. What's his name? What's the I bet you Medeiros is number 1 too. Mal O'Brien number 1. Emma Carey number 2. No surprise. Brooke Wells number 3. Annika Greer number 4. Wow, that's a shocker, right? Slipping in there. Emma Lawson, Danielle Brandon. No surprise here. The women look pretty solid. Keep scrolling down.
There's your girl, Sydney Wells.
There she is. All right, that a girl. Tori Dyson, Carolyn Prevost, Miss Spencer,
And so, just so you can see, Sevan,
Roarin Scott. There she is, the viral miracle. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
if we go down to 60, you can see what this guy has been referring to. Is that we just put a line there, and what we acknowledge there are other ways that they could have been handled, but in this model, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that 61 through whatever it ended up being, 79 would not get invited. And for Europe, 61 through 75 would not get invited. Well, they might via a backfill or something like that, but there would be a cut for those regions that had a density of athletes, but they would still contribute to the overall distribution of game spots.
What about Stephanie Chung? Being that she's a noble athlete, doesn't she automatically move up 30 spots for DEI reasons or something? Like all the noble athletes get a special score?
Didn't see that memo.
Okay. Halpin, work that in.
Okay.
Let's look at the men real quick,
Yeah.
or real slowly, whatever you want.
Yeah. This is good.
Those are the 6 men from Asia that would have qualified.
Say that top guy's name, please.
Sung Jong Kim,
Sung Jong Kim.
Andrei Fedotov, Artur Semenov, Kang Kyung-sun, Ruslan Miftakov, and Mevlut Agir.
Kong Kingson. Kingson.
Kang King-sun.
That is amazing.
Might be Kang.
Kang Beaver. Kang Beaver. Can Beaver. Kang Beaver.
Strong.
And then for
Is,
the Africa, Keelan Henry, Darren Zernemer, Michael Van Tonzer, and Caleb Diebel. And so these 4 from Africa, those 6 from Asia would compete against each other for 2 spots to the games. There are 2 games athletes from last year in this group, Arthur Semenoff and Keelan Henry. But this would, obviously there's a chance that 2 from Africa make it, or that 2 from Asia make it and none from Africa make it. In this model, all of these athletes have earned the right to be there based on their performance, proven they're good enough at every test that Adrian Bosman has given them to line up and take the text to the next stage. And I think it would be fun to watch these 10 guys go against each other.
Me too. I do too. Caleb, definitely not Shelly Beaver.
No Shelly. Okay.
No,
We can
no.
make a note of that.
Harry.
Too close to Smelly. No Shelly.
Shelly.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
No Shelly. Too close to Smelly Beaver.
Thank you.
We'll check on Oceania. Or no, South America is green.
Mm-hmm.
No surprise.
Basically, all the guys that you would expect here, they get 21, and they would be, or what did we say, that the men would be competing for 3 spots.
Do you have a chart that shows the overall world rankings? Your new world rankings? Look at
Not
Geese.
here.
This shows it.
Well, what I mean is like, do you have
Together,
the top?
you mean? Yeah.
Like, do you have a
no.
top? Oh, because that's interesting. Guy doesn't even make the. I mean, Guy doesn't even make the game.
Well, look at the percentages there, and that 5.8 is probably a crossover single under skill omission thing, and and you have the core V-up work at the capacity test, which you probably would expect to be his worst, and it was. But he's in the top 10th of a percentile on 2 of the 5 tests.
Oh, what's wrong with Halpin? He got a new tattoo, and it's that, and it's too much red. He had too much red ink. Too much red ink.
What did I do?
Okay, beautiful. I'm digging this. Ready for
Oceania. Obviously,
There we
Ricky
go.
would not be there, but This is how he did on that performance. Jay Crouch, Will Kearney, Jake Douglas, a lot of the guys you'd expect. They end up getting 24 total athletes. They would all be invited, and they would be competing for 4 spots instead of 3 spots.
Crazy. I'd also, another interesting thing Halpin would be like to see the region's average of their rankings. You know what I mean? So to add up all those rankings, divide up by the number of guys, and see which give them
Has the lowest average.
a strength quotient. Yeah. Okay, this is good. North America. There he is. There's my boy.
45. So
wow, the champ is a savage. Look at his percentages. Holy shit.
I mean, Vellner's are not that much worse.
I agree. They got 1 and 2 in North America West. This is nuts. Look at Cole Grieshaber, 8. Wow, I might go to. Wow, look at Tetlow, 29.
Dude,
good job, dude.
It would make me so happy if you came to Pasadena.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there. I haven't seen you in years.
Seymour Beaver. That was my suggestion. I think it's SEY.
Yeah, you can't spell it like that.
But I ain't hating. I just want you to
A
know.
hyphen.
Oh,
Just put a hyphen in
Saver
there.
Beaver. Wow, Jay Hartle.
Not bad.
This is great, man. Pasadena is wow. Look at that. You're telling me Luis Oscar is going to be in
No.
Pasadena?
In this model, they only get 6 spots.
No, 9
Six.
spots. 9 spots.
In this model, they only get 6.
The
In
men get
actual
6.
model, they get 9. So look at.
No. In the actual model, they get 10, and in yours, when you went, you're talking about the women got 9. Oh, the men really get fucked. Wow.
No, they don't. There's no one getting fucked. This is a reflection of their competitive performance.
Oh, that's
this
what I mean.
year.
This is so fair.
Unfortunately.
Sorry. This is incredibly fair. Wow. And hey, you know what's crazy about that too? This is how they do get fucked. They got fewer spots because they got ass people, but then they got the 2 best guys in the fucking world in there who are just going to take the spots. Wow, this is great.
And I think again, that's an excellent thing to understand. And
I'm not confusing anything.
No, and this thing that you're talking about doing the average, the lowest, like the average of each semifinals ranking, whatever, is something that I would entertain introducing at this point, because as we know, the strength of the field is not only limited to size. That's what we're rewarding here, but in essence, that's what CrossFit's model is rewarding, also only in a more limiting way, I would say, or a less accurate way. And so I think that
whatever division the champ is in should just get a free extra spot.
That's what they used to do because they got a free ticket.
Anyway, I do think there is a way to adjust for strength, like the strength of the field counting for the top portion. We didn't explore that here, but I do think that it would be a relevant conversation if we were ever able to be a part of that conversation going forward.
How are ticket sales for North America? Whatever the fuck.
I haven't seen that data released.
I think at least in the East, all of the reserve seats are bought, but they still have general admission.
I'm really, really hoping that it's just these amazing environments. Like, I want to see full stands. I want to see fans on their feet. I want to see like the environments that we used to see at regionals everywhere.
God, Albany. Yeah, the regionals I used to go to were fucking madhouses.
Yeah, I'm really, really hopeful that comes back this year. If you're considering going, do it. Like, they're going to be competitive. They're going to be fun. There's talented athletes everywhere.
A huge compliment for the podcast here. I'm more confused than a 9-year-old boy transitioning. So I'll tell you what we're looking at here. So basically, and that's fair because I was confused too. Basically what you're looking at is that worldwide ranking. There is the worldwide ranking based on this new system, the Halpin Friend system. The numbers here is where basically Justin finished relative to all the people who did the quarterfinals. So in this workout here, Justin was in the top 0.2% of workout number 3 in the quarterfinals. And what you have to be is you have to be in the top 15%. So scroll down a little bit. I'll show you someone. Scroll down until you see like a 14% in one of the columns. God, North America West is tough.
See Sam Plott there, 14th in the region. Tudor Mag.
I'm just looking at the numbers. Okay, so just look here really quick at us. Go ahead and stop. I saw an 11%. Look at Daniel Cook. Okay, number 28. Perfect. He got a 10.65%. If Daniel would have gotten a 15% there, he wouldn't be in invited to the semifinals. You have to finish in the top 15% in the quarterfinals. And this shows that he was, so you could also subtract that and figure out he was actually in the 90 percentile. But if you fall below the 85 percentile, you're fucked. Same with Maximilian Krieg. Here, Taylor Sturgis, very close to not making it. Greg Gross.
Yeah.
Greg Gross. Holy shit. Gross Beaver? Don't use that one either. Write that one down as a no-go. Oh, gross.
Not a common
Shelly
first name.
and and gross. Yeah. Okay.
We want to speed read through the rest. I think the next section is the one that you want to see is who didn't make it. So
yeah, but we'll give some accolades to the top qualifiers here.
Yeah, go. I'm gonna take a quick little. I'll be back in 30 seconds. You guys take a look at these guys. Look at Lazar Jukic. I don't know shit about Victor Hoffer except you guys talk about him a lot. These are great numbers too. Look at Fabian Benito. He's killing it.
He's continuing his trend from this year of being, basically dominating online qualifiers. He was a top qualifier for Dubai, top qualifier for Wadapalooza, and top qualifier in this model out of all the men in Europe. This is the basically like the biggest revelation from this study is that the European men have a tremendous depth of field. And so we can kind of look at the top here, knowing that they would have earned 15 spots. We see a lot of familiar names, but obviously also some new names here. Victor Hoffer, the young man from France, Harry Lightfoot, incredible season so far in the first two stages. Anyola Kai, who made a big name for him in the off season. Reggie Fossa, who generally does well online, and we're waiting to see that breakthrough in a live competition. And then a bunch of games athletes from last year. Moritz, Jona, Enrico, Uldis, Hapalainen coming in at 14th. Luka Jukic in 18th from 2 years ago. So Yorgos Karavis, 2 times games athlete, 20th. Guillaume Briand, games from last year, 22nd. So lots and lots of talent in Europe, 15 spots to compete for. Lastly, we have the North America East. You may actually be surprised here with the guy who ended up on top for North America East, third in the world, Dallin Pepper, Sam Cornway, who everyone's excited to see back this year, Jeff Adler, Noah Olsen, Spencer Panchik, etc.
Listen, I worked out right before, and then I had 2 pints of water, and now I'm drinking a pint of coffee. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, I'm 5
pints of coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I put a shot of espresso into a road cup. Dear Bill and Katie. Yeah, this is good. This is great stuff. Hey, what about what about using this in any other? Oh, Dallin, look at you, North America East. Are there any other systems events? Is this something Wadapalooza could pick up?
Yeah, I do think that there is a lot of opportunity for collaboration with some of the off-season and in-season, especially if you do want to get into more of a worldwide ranking conversation. Again, this is kind of a narrow study. We know that there are limitations to it, but we wanted to run it to see if it was possible. And basically, I think that it worked out really well as a starting point for a system that could be a more accurate representation of who is actually competing and competing well in the year that we're testing for.
Look at Jack Farlow up in the mix.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some names.
Does any part of you think that maybe it's flawed when you see that? Or is it like, no.
And it happens.
What's Tyler Watkins think about this? Has he seen this? What's he think?
Don't know. I don't think he has.
All right. I'd be curious to hear his opinion on it. Can we scroll down a little bit? I want to see this. Man, North America East looks tough. Will Morad, James Sprague, Tyler Christophal. Holy crap. Marquand Jones.
Roman being nearly 20 is interesting. Yeah.
Pete Mason, Nate Ackerman. Look at, Griffin Raleigh. Hey, is he competing?
Mm-hmm.
Luke Parker. He's going individual.
Mm-hmm.
Benoit Boulanger.
Benoit Boulanger.
Oh. There used to be a
very excited to see him. He's the number 2 pupil of Carolyn Lambre.
Boulanger, Benoit. Oh, what's this guy's name? Sevan. Oh, Selvan. Juice Beaver. I don't know about Juice. Hunted Beaver. Hunter Beaver is good. Oh, wow. Chrissy. Holy shit. That and her spelling's on point. Wow. Wow. Wild beaver. Okay.
You want to see the not qualifiers?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
There you go.
These aren't all of them. These are just examples. It's
some of the-
Kaiki Cerveni, a friend of Daniel Cucks, Willie Georges. Wow. And so what you're seeing there in the red is they had to be in the top 85%, and
Top 15%.
Top 15%. They had to be 85% or better. It's just weird to see it this way, but wow, Alex Vigneault really shit the bed on workout one. It's interesting that it's all workout one, right?
well
this
it's
is
broken out into each. You're going to see them all.
Yeah, you'll see them all. But those are the athletes that failed because of workout one.
Oh, okay.
But again, what is the limiter there? We know this from the programming show last night. It's a strict handstand push-up, and those guys didn't have that skill. So in my opinion, this is no different than Sam Briggs not making the game because of a handstand walk, or Katrin Davidson not making it because of a rope climb. Is that it's just at a different stage. This is at the quarterfinals. Adrian has increased the that's a pretty good one, actually. Adrian has increased the standard in terms of skills required, and I think that should be reflective in the vetting or screening process to the next round, because we can assume that there's going to be something. If you can't do a wall-facing strict handstand push-up, you're going to be faced with something more challenging in terms of an upper body pressing test at the next stage.
Hey, this is Caleb. This is what I'm talking about. All kidding aside, that dude's fucking parents, Riley, Good. They knew, like, they didn't waste the name. They knew their last name was Good, so they're like, all right, we're gonna name our kid Really, but without really putting in Really. I mean, that shit is tight. That's brilliant. Okay. Oh, long hair. That's like if you're Native American, you could get away with that. Long hair beaver.
I knew a guy. His name was Benjamin E. Fischel, and so
Wow.
his name is Benny Fischel.
Wow, that's solid. Yeah, that's solid. Oh wow, Bruce Wayne taking it to the next level. Robin Beaver. That's a great name for if you have a son.
It's got layers to it.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Let's see workout 3. Alexander. Okay.
That's your guy, Mr. Week.
Who?
The guy from Spain.
Alexander Onagasaki? No.
Yeah.
I didn't have that guy.
You know him.
I do. I thought it was no. I know Agnol.
This is Buddy. You know this guy. You definitely know this guy.
Okay.
This guy runs training culture.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He was on their team last year.
And he's just on the edge. Look at that.
Yeah.
Spencer Ray. William Leahy.
Well, that's that. He took that big penalty for all the mishaps that he had on his rowing GHGV up workout. And again, that's what's happens here is that, and that will, we think, encourage athletes to not toe the line. So, because in this current model with, a predetermined number of people, it's not based exclusively on performance. And sometimes you get these penalties that are whatever relative to they're arbitrary penalties basically. And here he's punished for it. He doesn't get to advance in the season because he failed to move well and follow the rules that were written.
Which semifinal is he going to in real life?
West.
Hancock is an English surname. It is derived from a given name, a variant of Johann, combined with the hypochoristic suffix cock, which came into fashion in the 13th century from cock, C-O-K, to cock, C-O-C-K, applied to a young lad. Oh, okay, it is that. Wow. It was a suffix applied to a young man who strutted proudly like a cock. So that is it. Hancock. That is the origins of the name. Darcy Hancock. Interesting. Okay. So be it. Hancock Beaver.
Want to see the women?
Yeah. Let's do it. This is good. These are women who are going to semifinals, but would not under this system.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. I
So
don't know who any of these people are.
Noortje Bleeker is one of the best in the Netherlands. And then,
Mars, best in Mars, from Mars.
Now, in the test 2 there, you see Christina Livatakis. She was the top qualifier from Africa to the semifinals.
Oh, okay.
Didn't make it in this model.
Crossover again.
So she doesn't have the skills. And we know that Adrian values the skills. And so I think that's valid. He's put a test forward. If you don't have that skill, then go back to the drawing board, because you're going to need a better skill at the next stage.
That's a very good guess. Robin Friend and Robin Beaver. Is Mike Halpin Trish? Trish does have a weird sense of humor like Halpin. That's very possible.
Get along.
It's also clever. They're both clever. I do see the correlations.
That's what I meant, clever.
The
Canelo
first, I think the
Canelo
first time
fights
I
is
was on was the time Trish said Badusi for the first time.
Oh, that's not even how you say that word. Did you hear that? How he said it? Did you hear how he just said
What
it?
did I say? That's what she
I'm
said.
not allowed to say the word, but my mom won't let me. But you said it wrong. But I appreciate it. You can say it like that.
Badusi.
Nirvana. That damn Nirvana.
On the wrong syllable.
Any stones unturned, Sevan? Any questions for the
No, this
data
is great. This is
wizard
great.
behind this process?
Congratulations. This is fantastic. I think I will have more as I process it more. But I really like this. It's good.
So, like we said, it's not perfect. It was we took one stab at it. We were pretty happy with it. So we ran with it. And I think it's an idea, and it's a demonstration that it's possible to assess the season within the season that's being tested. I think that it elevates the performance of the athletes. I think that it elevates the responsibility of the programmer. I think that there's, in each stage of the competition, it feels like there's something that you're actually trying to meet a benchmark for, instead of just kind of doing it to check a box. And if you don't make it, you can look back very tangibly and see why. And it's like, okay, well, what was the thing that prevented me? Because on every other test, I was well within the range. And you have a more focused study. It might it could be a specific skill, like a single crossover, single under, or a ring muscle up, but it could also be, you could see maybe if you do make it, that it's like, okay, I was in the top 2% on these three things, but on these two things, 12 and 13%. It was still good enough, but clearly these are the areas that I should be working in, because relative to my peers, I'm falling behind.
Mike Halpin, as we went through this, did you see anything that concerned you? You're like, oh, I missed that the first time going through. This needs to be tweaked. I don't mean like in terms of like actual data errors or anything. I mean in terms of like, oh, this doesn't actually work as well as I thought now that I've seen it presented, or shit, this is better than I thought. And anything that stood out to you as you went over it?
I mean, as you said, this is your first crack at it. Brian and I have tossed this around a little bit. You start to see that it could potentially help other things. Like, for example, we did this before a lot of the penalty stuff really kicked off, where they were talking about how many people that do they review, and what does the review process look like? How many videos do they have to watch? In this model, if somebody does 30% on a workout, you don't have to watch the rest of their workouts.
Oh,
They're just out. So it immediately cuts out athletes where you just don't even have to concern yourself with them anymore. They could win a workout, and if they did 30% or something on another workout, you don't even have to worry about it. So it starts to resolve some other things. It's not perfect. There's places that have been called out either in Instagram or here tonight that start to say like, well, how exactly would this or that work, or what would it look like here? But it at least asks the question, or opens up the conversation to say, why wouldn't you want to push for the best execution all the way through? Because the thing I hear about the most is we should go back to more live competitions. Well, I don't see that exactly happening as I think about this more, or look at the season more. But in this case, it really nails, like, you have to be perfect. You have to have stats that look like Mal and Justin, and say they never went above like 0.5%. And if you have athletes that are all looking at that and going, I'm going to nail all of this from top to bottom, you can then look at programming that says, well, what if all of these athletes are monsters and they can go to semifinals, and then all of those athletes can then qualify through that model to the games? What does it do to raise the level even higher when you get to the games and it's the best of the best of the best across the world?
Brian, same question to you. Did you see anything just now when you're looking at it? That one question that someone did come up with, Halpin? They said, and Brian, they said, hey, what if someone falls below 15% and they don't move on? I guess the answer is who cares? We already got their money, right? I mean, who cares?
It's the Sam Briggs example. It doesn't matter if it's the Open or the quarterfinals or the semifinals. That, you know, if you don't have the skills or the strength or the capacity for any phase of the test as you're qualifying through the season, and we looked at the athletes who didn't make it, and yeah, there's, you know, Alex Vigneault will have a chance to make the games, but he clearly has a hole in his game, and if the season is truly progressive, then we can expect to see some version of a handstand push-up either at the semifinals or the games that's going to continue to expose the flaw in his game.
Hey, with this method, I think does come some responsibility on the programmers that's significant, and I think that they've done it well already. But you don't want to introduce something that's just completely off the wall new and not give people time to prepare for it.
Right, and that's actually the problem with the worldwide ranking that's out there now. They're looking 2 years back when Brent Fikowski didn't give a flip about the Open and would just sort of sail workouts, and saying that Open now matters, or that semifinal or quarterfinals from 2021 matters all of a sudden. In our case, we're just looking at, you just did these workouts, but Brian calls it out in the article. We do say the same thing. We say, hey, the programmers weren't aware of this 15%. The athletes weren't aware of this 15%. But if you told them today, in 9 to 12 months, you're going to have to do this again, and you're going to need to nail all these workouts, and the programming needs to be tight, and the written documentation needs to be tight, and all of the pieces need to align to say that we actually found the best athletes in the world, and they're going to go on to the next stage, then you have that. But if you just throw something together at the last minute, then you get what you get.
Nate, Sevan, is that a bald spot on the top of your head, dude? I wish I have more hair than I know what to fucking do with. I don't know what the fuck you're looking at, but no. I'm like a fucking bear.
Kind of a bear cub.
Caleb's just stewing about your.
No, you know. I'm gonna have. I think I'm a couple years away from ear hair. I'm gonna have ear hair soon. Brian, are you happy? Huh? It turned out good.
I would say relative to when we started, yeah, I was pretty pleased with the way that it turned out. Like, the numbers make sense to me in terms of the athletes that are qualifying for each stage. The numbers, when I look at what you needed to achieve in the workouts themselves, for the most part, make sense. And yeah, I think that you would end up with a field of athletes that are actually capable of taking the next stage. Now, just like there were people eliminated in the Open, and just like there were people eliminated in quarterfinals, you're still going to have some that are going to be eliminated in semifinals. But at least we know that they have met the minimum thresholds across the board to meet, to advance to this run.
Sean M, you guys are nerds. Caleb's in the military.
Straight up retarded. So
any chance this makes any do you have any hopes or aspirations for this, guys? Do you think there's, what did you think about my negative or less than optimistic perspective that they just don't have the resources to implement anything new or to hear anything else?
It's a matter of want, not capacity. Like, it depends if they want to or not. I think that there are better models to pursue. I don't think this is a perfect model. I think that it's a good starting point for a conversation. But I thought the same thing in the fall. When I first heard they were doing this, there were certain concerns that I had. I expressed them. It doesn't seem like they were considered. That's okay. Bugbegs has said, this is our first attempt at it. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to refine it. I'm putting out another model there. And if there is an opportunity to have a conversation and say, hey, some of those things that you suggested are things that we thought about in the past, or that maybe we didn't think about, but are curious to us, obviously I would be open to having a conversation about that. It'd be beneficial for me too, because I could learn from them some of the things that they know that may be limitations that I don't understand.
Do you think the athletes give a shit?
Yeah, definitely.
They do. Okay. Should they?
There will be, in some of these continents that get 30, like 29 out of 30 or 30 out of 30 are signing up. Like, they'll be pissed about this. They'll be like, no, dude, like, what the hell? You're taking away like the pinnacle of our season. But like I said, I'm trying to put this model out there absent of thinking about the people. I'm thinking about the competition. And I'm specifically thinking about the fact that CrossFit chose to introduce worldwide ranking and strength of field this year, saying that it's going to give us a representation of the competitive landscape. We know that it's not. This is, and I'm not going to spend time talking about all the things the reasons why it's not, but we know that it's not. This is a model that does that more specifically.
All right. I like it. I believe it was interesting. It was. What's a A10?
Piece.
It's a plane, and
Oh.
it fucking destroys everything in its path.
Wow. It's a good plane.
Great plane. It's like taking a Gatling gun and putting it on something that flies really fast. Yeah.
Ooh.
It sounds awesome.
All right. Yes, then that is correct. Air Force has A10s. Thanks, guys. Fantastic show. I'm impressed. Thank you. Thanks for doing it here. Thanks for coming on the show. Caleb, thanks for talking to me about the A10.
Anytime.
Halpin, your charts, your graphics, your Excel sheets, your everything was great. I appreciate it.
Glad to hear it.
You guys have something else up your sleeve that you want to talk about? Or anything else?
Not tonight, but we got some other stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks.
All right, guys. I don't know what's happening tomorrow morning. I don't know. I'm tripping. As you guys know who watched the show this morning, I'm just tripping. It's going to be a tough next 10 days for me. Not for any serious reasons. What are you doing, Halpin? A little arm wrestling?
Scratching my elbow.
Oh, I thought maybe you were put arm wrestling. Okay. See you guys later. Ryan, thank you. Caleb, Halpin. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.